Welcome to the only podcast on the internet. The only one.
The only one?
Yep.
How did you eliminate all the other ones?
I was just the first one to do it. I said,
oh,
you know what?
That's right.
I have an idea. I'm just going to talk into a microphone for an hour and put it online. Nobody else had done that. So,
oh my gosh, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Welcome to Radio Toons.
Episode 6.
6?
Yeah.
All right.
Episode 6.
Whatever
Can you believe
say.
it? It's still going?
Yeah. What'd you do today, Ernie?
Well, today it was just a bunch of cleanup for the birthday party from yesterday.
Your son had a birthday party yesterday?
His first birthday party, yeah, and it was absolutely exhausting.
Your son became a man.
No. No, he's 1 year old now.
Oh,
so the one
he's practically off to college.
Yeah, I mean, he's already driving. He got his driver's license.
Nice.
On his first birthday, so he's ready to go.
But that's cool.
The only achievement I can take out of that is that we kept him alive for a year.
Cool.
So that's always a plus.
Nice.
What about you? What did you do today?
We watched Mortal Kombat over the weekend, remember?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
That was my whole weekend. That's what I do for fun.
Back to the glory days of 1995 when CG was laughable and you could pretty much get away with doing any video game adaptation.
I really liked that movie when I was little.
I'll admit it was a good movie when I was a little kid. But...
Say what you will about the movie. That song. The song they wrote. You put that on today and people will dance.
Yes, they'll dance. I don't know how well it fits in with the actual movie, considering everything is supposed to look mystical and there's all these powers and they're talking about destiny and everything, and then all of a sudden it's like
and then just techno music.
Mortal Kombat.
It was at the height of the techno scene or popularity.
It was definitely everywhere. Anytime you went to a mall, you went to a club, that thing was everywhere.
Anytime we went into like those anime shops where they had those Gundam building kits. We used to go to those all the time, remember?
We started going to a little shop in a mall that had all this stuff from Japan, and they were playing this in there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, needless to say, the CG was terrible in that. The story's pretty laughable, but I gotta admit, for the time, the martial arts are still pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cuts, but...
Not even, really. No. I feel like they did a good job representing the martial... Because if you look at the movie...
I noticed a lot of cuts during, like, Sonya Blade's fights.
Okay, well, hers are the least impressive, because I believe she has no martial arts training.
At least she did her own stunts and stuff. Or...
She did. From what I can see when she fights Kano...
Like, I don't think there's a stunt double for her. Maybe there is, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. All the scenes that we see her, and I think you can see her face. So I don't think... she took that kick like a champ, for sure.
Not like Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
No, where
her stunt double... Her stunt double is a small Asian man in a wig.
That was special when I saw that. No, well, the reason I was saying that the martial arts was good is because in the game you see it from a 2D perspective, just like any fighting game, and they made a point to get that shot in every fight, like where you can see them from the side.
Oh, really?
And you can see that. Yeah, well, you see it more. Like I noticed it the first few times I watched it. I noticed it in in the Scorpion Johnny Cage fight. They're on the bridge and they're just shooting them from the side.
I mean, you also watched like 3 hours of behind the scenes footage. So maybe,
I did.
So maybe that's why.
I did as well, only because I don't know, that stuff's interesting because like they had all the money in the world. Like they spent a lot on this money. They had a good producer
on the movie. You mean? Yeah.
I mean, it was hot at the time. It's like Mortal Kombat was at the height of its popularity at the time. I don't know how they messed it up. It's the same thing with like the Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't know how they messed that stuff up.
I still have to watch that movie. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No. All I hear is like that
Radio
movie.
Toons episode 7.
Yeah, it's gonna be us talking about that. No, I heard there's like a crazy story about that movie too. Like they were drunk on set a lot, and like people hated the directors, and
they were too young, like a married couple.
Yeah,
and they were like hot shots who had directed music videos.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, but it wasn't. There was a lot of bad things that happened to it, and once you watch the movie, it'll show.
Didn't Bob Hoskins get like in a car accident on set?
No,
because he was drunk or something.
A car was involved in the accident, What the problem was that it was an early scene where Luigi, Princess, and Mario are in a delivery truck, and the truck has sliding doors, and Luigi has to make this really hard turn, and when the turn occurred, the sliding glass door slid closed, and Bob Hoskins had his hand through the door, so it shut on his hand. So the rest of the time he was wearing a cast, and they just painted it like, I think they just pulled the shirt over it or painted a different color. I forget what they did.
Nice.
That was pretty. But trust me, when we watch that, you're gonna see all the problems with it. There was like 14 million changes to the script. I don't think you will. I really don't think it.
Stuff. You know what?
We'll see, but Mortal Kombat's not terrible.
Mortal Kombat isn't. I was telling you that when we were watching it. I didn't think it was as bad as like Street Fighter.
Oh.
Because Mortal Kombat still hit the same. It still hit the same beats that a movie would.
It did.
You know.
It did. It just didn't do them well.
Yeah, and it had gimmicks as well. It had like the song, for instance.
It had the song,
and then it had like martial arts, which Street Fighter. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, so I don't really remember. But I don't think Street Fighter had a lot of fighting in it.
It did, but mostly when Jean-Claude Van Damme was on screen.
Oh, okay, that makes
because
sense.
he actually has martial arts training. You know, some people would debate that, but but
no, he's good, man, isn't he?
No. It's just I heard a lot of stuff like he wasn't just. I heard stories about when he would
molest children.
When he would be on set and working with the stunt doubles, he would actually kick them, as opposed to being so good that he could not kick them.
That's really funny.
So yeah, so then he'd just be like, "Are you like?" And yeah, that's show business or something. I remember hearing that about him. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it is, but
that's pretty hilarious.
That's why I know, right? But everybody, Johnny Cage, both Johnny Cage, the guy who played Johnny Cage, I forget his name. It's
doesn't matter.
Lyndon Ashby, and the guy who played Liu Kang is Robin Shou. They actually knew martial arts. They were trained and everything. Sonya Blade didn't, and then everybody else like
Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison.
Why did they pick her?
I think she did a good job.
Here's the other thing I was talking to my wife about. Like Cindy, I was asked. I was watching all those behind the scenes, and I was really puzzled because at the time they had actors playing these people. Why didn't they just use them? Because all of them were actors.
You're saying the actors that were in the video game.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just use them?
Because they already had the costumes. They already had the people.
Maybe they couldn't act.
You could.
I
guess.
I know what you're saying. Like, if they have, for instance, they have the costumes already, they couldn't at least just use the costumes and put them in the movie?
Yeah, because, like you were saying, when we rewatched the movie, Scorpion and Sub-Zero come out.
They have sleeves.
And you were very upset about that.
I hate that. It bothers me so much. They don't have sleeves. I don't know, maybe they have tattoos.
Or no, something. I don't. No, come on. It wasn't cool to have, like, tattooed sleeves at the time.
No, plus, I'm saying maybe they had like tattoos on their
I know what you mean, but they could always cover that up with makeup.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It can be covered up. I've seen it a lot. They just cover things up like that.
Oh.
What was I gonna say though? It's they just had all these different costumes. Like, for example, Liu Kang doesn't wear red throughout the whole thing, and that's a stylized choice. I get it, but
I don't think. Yeah, that's
he doesn't even wear a headband.
I was like, why don't you just give him red pants? What the hell's the matter with you guys? How hard is that to find?
I know, and Johnny Cage, I'm sure would have worn like a signature pant or something for when he does his fighting.
I didn't mind.
And he
Johnny
just
Cage
shows
so
up.
much.
He just shows up in his button-up shirt and stuff.
I didn't mind that so much just because Johnny Cage he's like a regular human actor guy. Like, who cares?
Yes, but yes, in the movie, the way he gets lured to the island is somebody like the news is calling him fake. They're saying fake. Johnny Cage is fake. He doesn't know martial arts. He's just an actor, blah, blah, blah. And so the way that Shao Kahn lures him to the island is he says, a way that you can... Well, first he's in the form of one of his mentors, and he goes, you want to win your cred back? Go to this tournament. So now he's trying to win back his cred, right? So he's not trying to show off. He's just trying to be like, if you beat everybody will know that you won this tournament.
He should have suited up or something, or what?
No, I'm just saying... like when he goes there, he's in his like Armani suit with his nice, button-up shirt and pants, and he's got his.
He thought it was like a resort.
Yeah, but when he goes to fight, he doesn't even wear his like karate outfit.
Didn't know it was gonna be mystical ninjas and stuff there.
I know, but if you're trying to show off that you're not some fake actor, wouldn't you want to dress the part that you're taking this seriously?
Maybe.
I'm just saying.
I don't have too many gripes about him.
He's just a goofball.
Liu Kang, and maybe Sonya Blade would look goofy too in her costume. But don't put sleeves on the ninjas, man. Come on.
Does that bother you that much?
I don't know. The mask too. The mask on
the mask looked weird.
It looks pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how they did it in the game. I think the masks were colored, right? They were like yellow and blue for Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Did they have two costumes? I actually think it was only one.
You mean that? No, in Mortal Kombat 1, it was just one.
Yeah.
But in Part 2, which I believe Part 2 was already out.
When the movie came out?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think Part 3 was about to come out, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
And at that point, they were distinct because, like, Scorpion he was like a skull thing.
It's still the same.
No, I don't think so.
The suits are the sprites or whatever in the game. I'm pretty sure they're the same.
Okay, maybe you're right.
All the way up till like.
I mean, either way,
they
could have taken a lot more from the game because the whole thing is goofy anyway. Like if you're trying to argue that was made it look cooler or more serious, there's a lizard chasing them around. I mean, how serious can you be?
Are you talking about
Reptile?
I think you meant that stupid. Why did they change Scorpion's like spear to be like this?
Oh, that thing was an abomination.
This little snake that lives inside of him.
Oh my gosh, that was pretty bad. And then the way they introduce the ninjas is awful. Like they show up, they got this awesome music. Sonya Blade pulls a gun on Sub-Zero. He freezes it off.
Oh yeah, that part's.
And they're just standing there looking cool. They couldn't just leave it at that. No. Raiden has to come in and just like blast them into the wall and just dismiss their coolness in a second. Weak. Yeah, he's just like, and he's like, enough, and he shows up. I like, did that really need to happen? Does Raiden really need to do that? He could have just walked in from behind him like he did before. Like later on, remember they're fighting all the soldiers, and he goes, and he does that little electricity off his fingers.
Yeah, he only wears the hat too, right in the beginning, huh?
Because he's trying to disguise himself, right?
Well, after that, it's gone.
Man, they totally...
They could have had him in costume. His is just like that white suit with the hat, and that was it, right?
Yeah, from the first one. In the first game, he's just wearing the white suit.
Oh, but he has that black, neck head thing.
They could have... Yeah, they could have altered that just a little bit. And, I don't know.
At least Goro looked good. Maybe all the money was spent on Goro.
I will admit
he looks amazing.
He looked really good. Considering also this is the time of the Ninja Turtles, it looked better than that.
Well, somebody told me it's like the special effects guy that worked on Alien 3 or something. He did that movie, so he was already well versed in practical effects and all that. So
I think the fact that costume was done so well, along with the voice, that made that made
really
that character
brought him to life.
Yeah. And I'm surprised they didn't do a miniature. They didn't do a miniature and then
animated.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't do that because that would look terrible.
I mean, it couldn't have looked worse than freaking Reptile CG. The first time he appears, he's all rainbowy.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look good. The fight though, the fight is good between
when he's human. You mean?
When he turns human,
yeah.
They don't. I mean, I'm not saying I need every aspect of everything explained to me, but that was a weird scene.
Yeah.
He just grabs him off the wall.
No, he grabs him off the wall, he goes into a statue, and then he becomes human, and then when he kills him, he becomes Bugs. I don't
It's Bugs.
maybe it was just hey man, Bugs are really cheap. It'll look cool if Liu Kang squishes a couple of them.
And then he does the bicycle kick. And then Reptile will do infinite flips.
The bicycle kick was pretty cheesy. I thought it was so cool when I was a kid, though. I was like, yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he did the move, He could have... I don't know. Would it have been cooler if he had thrown the fireball at him instead, like, to knock him out of the cave?
His fireball is supposed to be that thing he does at the end, right? Like those little bolts.
I think so. Where he does the double punch.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what it's supposed to be. It looks horrible.
I don't think it looks that bad, but I'm just.
I could have done without it. Honestly, don't you think an uppercut would have been like the best there?
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Because it would have been like exactly like the pit.
Yeah, I uppercut all the time in Mortal Kombat.
I do that all the time.
Yeah,
I did the uppercut.
Maybe it was honestly like he just did that double punch, and then in post they were like, "Can you make it?
Can you add electricity to it?
Yeah, add some pizzazz to it."
The guy's like, he takes a sip of his coffee and he's just like, "Why? It's just a punch. The kids will like it. Throw it in there. They'll love it. They'll love it."
Or maybe he was like, "I just got this new special effect."
Oh, it's called fire.
Yeah, it adds lightning. It wasn't even fire. That's what I'm saying. It looks like lightning bolts. It doesn't look like fire.
Does it really?
Yeah.
God, I don't remember. I just watched it like 2 days ago, and I can't remember.
That morphing effect that Shang Tsung does?
That's done really well.
Yeah, it's
especially the one in the very beginning, where he's
where he's walking and he
that one's done really well. Yeah.
I wonder how they did that.
I'm guessing it has to be some sort of composite shot where they do make the camera move the same way and they have the same actor walk across, and then they just fade from one to the other. But that little like peeling skin transition that they do, that's really cool.
It's really good looking.
Best fight out of the entire thing? I know you're not going to say Sonya Blade, but out of all the, come on, dude. Aside from, I will say that Kano is pretty cool. Like when he comes out and goes, "Oh, look at this," and he pulls out the knife on her. Mm-hmm. Aside from Kano just being cool,
man, he dies like in 1 second. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Because they got to wrap it up, man. They got to wrap up her story real fast so they can get to the other ones.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. You were saying the reptile fight was pretty good. I like that one. I don't know. Probably the Shang Tsung one just because
it's the end.
Yeah. And then Liu Kang, the most unnecessary part ever, where Shang Tsung resurrects like 12 people from like other time periods.
Oh, wait, what is Katana? For some reason, tells him you're gonna have to face 3 things in the tower, and one of them is like, face your enemy, and she keeps calling it out as it happens. Remember, she goes, face your enemy, face yourself, and then face something else at the end. And right there when he starts like raising them from the sewers of Outworld, she says, face your enemy, and he's like, he gets to call up like 7 guys. When did he do that in the video game? Like never?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He like raises people from like different periods of time, and I don't understand. They all die within like 30 seconds because Liu Kang kicks their asses really easily, and they have weapons and stuff. I'm like, all right, I guess that's cool.
And one of them's a stupid joke because like he's wearing armor, and just a kick, I guess, knocks him out or something.
This trained samurai, and Liu Kang just kicks him.
Also, he doesn't know how to use his own sword because all he does is run at him with the sword pointing forward.
They're not even questioning why they're alive again. They're just, fuck this guy we just met. But yeah, so that part happens, and then it's like it's more fighting on top of the staircase and stuff. It's a very drawn out fight. So maybe that
it is, and I feel like it gets broken up in the middle when he goes like, so Liu Kang has laid out all the 7 warriors that he just fought out in a perfect circle, which is great because, it looks great that he did that.
Yeah, it's convenient.
And then there's like a little staircase that leads up to another balcony. And then Shang Tsung calls down to him and he goes like, "Hey, I'm gonna kick your butt," or whatever. And then Liu Kang says, "No, you're not." And then they do a long tracking shot where he goes from the bottom of the stairs and he runs all the way up the stairs, and it's complete silence except for him running up the stairs.
They could have had him do like a cool flip up there or something.
Anything else would have been better than that. Like a slow motion walk, even where they building the music.
Could have jumped off of like Sonya Blade's face.
Like they could have done this. Like just to reshoot that right in my head. The line that Shang Tsung tells him is, he's like, "I can see inside your soul." He's like, "You're gonna die." And then Liu Kang goes, "You may be able to see inside my soul, but you don't own it," right? And then what they could have done is they could have slowed it down, and he could have been having flashbacks of his brother. Like, that's who he's thinking of, right? As he takes steps to climb the little thing, right?
Too much work. They're not going to do that.
I know. And then at the top of the stairs, instead of saying Shang Tsung, he would have seen his brother.
And he says he's like descendant of Kung Lao. Isn't Kung Lao his brother in the video
That tripped me out.
Isn't it like his brother or something in the video games?
You told me that you played Shaolin Monks.
There's a game where I think it's his brother.
Because they're fighting side by side, right?
I don't know. I guess that movie's not accurate in any regard. So,
because first of all, they're fighting side by side in part 2.
Who?
Kung Lao and Liu Kang.
In the movie?
No, in part 2, the video game. Yeah.
Is Kung Lao in part 2? Yeah,
he is.
Right.
Yeah. He has the best character, like, art sketch or whatever.
I used to think he had the best fatality. He has one where he slices you in half with his hat.
Yeah.
And your body splits in half. I used to think that was the best fatality.
Really, even over... Because he used to do the Liu Kang dragon bite or whatever all the time.
I mean, the dragon is the dragon, you know.
You can't get better than that.
It's iconic, yeah.
I actually used to love what is it? The Cyrax. Was it Cyrax? The one where he puts you in that little squishy thing.
That was Sector.
Sector, there
like
you go.
The trash compactor thing?
Yeah, that one was the best to me.
That one's cool.
I like that one. But see, they could have done more with that scene, but instead it's like, Liu Kang, listen, we got 10 minutes to shoot. Just run up the stairs.
Yeah. You know, all the fatalities used to scare me when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the friendship ones?
No, of course not. But like the game looked real enough to me because like there are actors playing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It scared me. I didn't play that game until I was like in junior high.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like old news to everybody, and me and one of my friends like became obsessed with it because we were like, oh, we have the internet. We can just look up all the fatalities now.
Wow.
And like all the. And so
that's right. You already had the internet when you started playing it. Because I remember when I played it with my friend Frankie over at his house.
Mm-hmm.
It was so funny because I remember this one time when I went over to play it. He had a Super Nintendo, but for some reason they were using the area that he would usually play in. So it's like, we're going to take the TV out to the backyard. We'll put it on top of the washing machine. We'll play it out there. And then we play like Mortal Kombat, but we knew another friend named Christian who came over, and he had just memorized all the codes for Mortal Kombat. But he was the only one who knew them.
We used to go to the library, remember? We used to look at Nintendo Powers, and we would write down all the cheats and stuff.
The funny thing is, that was when like our mom would drop me off at the library, and I would just draw all the things and write them down in a notebook and then bring them back home.
I remember GoldenEye. You had like all the maps for GoldenEye drawn out like in this book.
That's how I had learned my art.
Yeah. No, you made it look really neat too. Like it looked like a real, not a real guide, but I mean it looked organized and stuff. It was pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
I spent pretty much. I forget how long she dropped me off there for, but it was like this thing where they could.
It was several weeks.
I was like, you know what? I'll just draw them because they didn't let you rent magazines. They only let you rent books, so I would have to draw them out, and I wanted to be as careful as possible, or else I wouldn't be able to remember it. I did GoldenEye. I remember I did several of them, but the ones that stood out were GoldenEye, and then I drew and did the playthrough for Super Mario RPG.
I remember that one.
And I drew all the bad guys.
Yeah, you had drawings of the bosses. I thought that was pretty cool.
They look so different because the 3D renderings done in a line drawing looked weird to me.
Yeah.
But it was cool because I
remember them looking like very accurate. So, but I mean, I was a little kid. I was a stupid ass brain, you know.
Okay, I guess my drawings can't look that great then. It's funny because I was never able to find that book again. I don't know what happened to it. I think I might have lent it to somebody and never got it back. But it was one of those little, I don't know,
composition.
The little composition notebooks, so it was great to be able to use them to draw. The GoldenEye one was too big though.
I remember we got a subscription at one point, but it wasn't until I think it was
in college when I got it. Was it?
Like you bought it yourself?
Yeah.
I just remember 64 was already not old, but it was already well into its lifespan. And I think one of the first ones we got was an Ocarina of Time one or something.
Yeah, so because I got I remember when I got Nintendo Power, they would send every time you renewed Nintendo Power, they gave you a player's guide with it. That was your sign-up bonus.
That's cool.
So the first one I got, I think, was Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I remember you had the GoldenEye one too.
I had the GoldenEye one, and then I had the Super Mario 64 one.
Yeah, I actually got that one for Christmas.
There you go.
From the store, like a sucker.
Oh, then you know what? I probably didn't. Then I got a Mario Kart one, and I got, I think later on when the Wii came out, I got Mario Kart, the Mario Kart that came out on the Wii. The one with the wheel and everything.
Oh, they gave you that through Nintendo Power?
Yeah, but of course I didn't use it because I was like, I don't need this.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the Player's Guide and I got Mario 64 for
oh
Christmas.
my gosh, that game
That was amazing, dude.
that was fantastic. But unfortunately, later on, I bought Mortal Kombat 4, and that was garbage.
Dude, we loved that game when it came out. Except like
because there was one move that just annihilated everybody. Remember, it was like run, and then you did on the C buttons. You would do left, up, down, right.
Like with different characters. Or what?
It was a standard. Yeah, it was a standard character for all of them. Like if you ran at a character and started a combo, they would not block.
Oh.
And if they did, you could just as easily start do the combo, and they would block, and then at the end you do the grab. It was just broken.
I just remember the cutscenes were super hilarious in that game because they didn't make any sense. For a game that I thought was pretty like serious and like intimidating at the time, that game just looked super like silly.
I will say though, the fatalities looked pretty good.
What was?
Like,
I don't even remember a lot of them. I remember Scorpion turns into a scorpion. Which was like, okay.
But the other one was when he took off his mask and he lit you on fire, and then you would would walk around for a little bit. And like you'd do two runs and then you'd fall down and you were just baking. Which is cool because it's Scorpion or whatever. But the one I remember the most was Raiden would grab you and hold you above him
and just
fry you and you'd explode.
That's cool.
And I was like, damn.
Oh, you know what? There is a cool one. I don't know who does it, but somebody kicks your chest out. And then
that's Raiko, that weird ninja who looks old.
All your limbs are like spinning.
But your torso just
and he just kicked your torso out. That one was pretty cool.
The one that was really silly was the reptile one. When he would jump on your chest and he would eat the face. And then at the end, it was like just the face without any skin. And you would just go, ah, and you'd fall over.
Oh, okay.
That was the reptile one. There was a couple of good ones. The Sub-Zero ones were pretty standard. You freeze and then just like bash you. And you die. Those were pretty good. And then he rip your spine out. That's standard for Sub-Zero. So there's nothing new there. Some of the other ones were pretty good. Sonya still did her Kiss of Death.
Right.
I forget what the other one was. But the endings were definitely the call.
That game had some weird throwaway characters, too, that just never came back.
Like who?
Jarek. And
oh, yeah. Jarek was a replacement for Kano.
And there's a guy named Kai. There's a guy named Kai who wears, like, purple. And he has, like, white paint on his face and on his body.
Oh, right. Yeah,
he's just like a little limber.
Did he have a staff?
No.
No, he didn't have a staff.
Or maybe he did, because they have in that game you could like you did a special motion.
You would pull out a weapon.
You would pull a weapon out, yeah.
Yeah, and it was Sub-Zero was broken because his was the only one that had a thing like he would lunge forward with it like a fencing pro. It was a wand, but it looked like a club. It looked like a club, right? Like he would hold it with both hands, but it was like a club, and at the end it had like this spike
it was like
that
a
would
mace.
be blue. Yeah. But it was a wand because if he did this move where if he lunged at you like a fencer and he would touch you freeze. So it's really broken because it like goes really far.
being able to freeze your opponent is just like conceptually pretty broken, isn't it?
Yeah, well, same thing with Scorpion, right? You just like throw that thing out, catch him, bring him back, boom. And that thing was broken too because you could catch him on the rebound. Like you could throw it, grab him. No, you could hit him in the air, and if you did it like right away, you could catch him again. Oh, and they had that mechanic in that game where after a certain amount of consistent damage, this exploding sound would happen.
Oh yeah, both of you would like shoot back. Right?
You just go, and there'd be no explanation. It was dumb.
I think words came up on the screen.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was like, stop.
Knock it out. That's too much.
You're breaking the game. Nah, those games are cool. The later ones I like the story.
The story's definitely got better,
but they're still kind of like, I don't want to say not taken seriously, But I don't know. Every time that like a new one comes out, I guess it just gets replaced. They're always making new games.
If you remember, I don't know how much you remember about Mortal Kombat 5, but the big thing is right as that game starts, they're like, Liu Kang is dead.
Oh yeah.
So they took some chances on 5.
Yeah,
no Liu Kang.
That's what I mean. The story's always trying to like do something different.
Yeah.
Like even Deadly Alliance, it's like he's not even in there yet. They don't.
Mm-mm.
They kind of just. What is it? What do they do in that game? I'm sorry.
I think 5 is Deadly Alliance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Deception. Deception is the one where he's like a zombie.
Yeah, and he has the chains.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's, to be honest, we played 5 and we played 6, which was, I believe, Deadly Alliance and Deception. I believe they came like that. We played those for a while. They weren't great fighting games, but what they did was they added new elements that made it fun to play.
It's not like we like went to arcades and played.
No, but I mean, we played Street Fighter for a long time, But that game's mechanics are fantastic, and you don't really need all that much story.
Okay, that was my point before. Is like Street Fighter 2 is like people still play it, competitively to this day. Like I don't know if people still play Mortal Kombat 2 or 3 like hardcore.
Not really, because if I remember correctly, 3 is pretty broken. Like you've shown me loops that are.
Yeah, I think Smoke. Certain characters have infinites in that game, so it's like how do you play this game without having everyone play Smoke or something?
I think it's the ones with teleports that have infinites, right?
Probably.
That teleport thing was ridiculously broken.
The robots?
Yeah, where you like dive down and then all of a sudden you uppercut as you come in. Like not only did it have like Scorpion had a teleport, right? Okay, but it didn't cause you to float.
I was gonna say at least you don't have to worry about blocking either side. In that game you just hold block and anything that comes at.
Yeah.
I think only highs and lows or something like that.
Okay, this is off topic a little bit.
Okay.
There's a new Tekken coming out.
Uh-huh.
I could care less. Like I don't know what it is about that game where I don't care whenever it comes out.
Tekken games do have they're. Let me explain it like this. People that like Tekken love their game. They really love it, and they're very passionate about their scene and everything about it.
Okay.
Lots of people that play Street Fighter or Capcom fighting games are constantly complaining about it. Like wow, Capcom really fucked up. I can't believe I'm still playing this game. Or like man, this stupid ass game. Why do I even play it? Like, but more. What did you say? Tekken?
Yeah.
Tekken. I would always hear them talk about how like, oh man, that was such an exhilarating match, or like.
I mean those in that game. I've played very little of it back in the day, and it was like a medium, high, low system. Like for blocking.
I'm not even gonna get into that. I don't want to be wrong.
and no. I understand. That's what I'm saying. That I don't know too much about it. But what I do know is that it's very like the whole rock paper scissor element of Street Fighter. That's taken to another level because of the juggling and because of the grapples and all that kind of stuff. It's very, like I used to play King, which is a very hard character to learn, and I just kind of mastered one combo that took me through it. But it is really hard to time it all. Because some of the grabs, the person has to be on the floor, but like they have to bounce off the floor and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff in that game.
Yeah, it's very, very technical, which is why I couldn't get into it as hardcore as I do with Street Fighter, because Street Fighter is way more accessible.
Street Fighter just jump around and kick and
just jump and kick.
Yeah,
but Mortal Kombat's another, like it's one of those games where you can come and it's a way more of a spectacle game.
You can come. Sorry, you said that weird.
You come and it's more of a spectacle because not only does, like they've done they started in 5 with the moving platforms.
That game in Mortal Kombat 9, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Had a glitch where like, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is how it was.
Okay.
First player would always have priority over second player if you traded hits.
Really?
So like in Street Fighter, how if you both throw out the same move, you both take damage.
Sure.
Player 1 would always win that little fight in Mortal Kombat. So they would like flip a coin to see who got player 1.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah, I was like that.
I remember when Mortal Kombat came out.
I was gonna say like they patched that game pretty frequently. I'm surprised they couldn't fix that, or maybe that was just when the game came out. I don't remember.
When the game came out, all I heard was pointy hats rule. And it was like any character that had a pointy hat was OP.
Okay.
And it was just like
Kung Lao was broken.
Yeah, because you could grab off of a knockdown and everything. Like I went to that first tournament that was in that sponsored
PDP
by
tournament?
Pelican. Yeah, what were they called at the time? PDP.
PDP.
Yeah, and everybody played either Kung Lao or Raiden. It was like that's all it was. Even like who was that guy? Perfect Legend. He was like, oh yeah, this game is just like freaking. It's all pointy hats. Pointy hats rule. Everybody was saying that. It was really hilarious. But going back to 5, started that whole moving platform thing. I personally don't like the moving platform
What do you mean
thing.
moving platform?
As in that game particularly, I remember one that I was just like, this is awful. And it was like you were standing on a cliff or like some sort of plateau, and gradually the stage would get smaller and smaller because like the rocks were falling in a ring shape around you.
I think that's the only stage that really does that.
No, because I'm saying they started the trend there,
You're
and
talking
then
about stage fatalities then.
no, I'm talking about don't you like in 5 it started that. There was 2 levels that did that, and then in 6 they had that thing where if you hit somebody off of a cliff, they would move down to another part, but you could hit them on the way down. All that kind of stuff. It was like, I don't like that.
Stage hazards.
Yeah, stage hazards.
It's like Smash Bros.
But remember, like, there was instant fatalities hazards as well.
Yeah.
Like, if you could hit them into, like, the lava, if they stepped in a certain area.
If I remember correctly, though, you could turn those off.
Yeah, you could turn them off.
And the ones that had deaths like that, they had like a little skull next to them or something.
Yes.
They had indicators. So
Well, yeah, and not to mention they had little, like, there were lines on the floor that said, like, if you're here,
oh, yeah,
like, there was an audible sound as well.
It was like a yellow line if it was just a transition, or it was a red line if it was a fatality.
Exactly. And I don't know if I like that. And they've gotten worse and worse. And
what do you mean worse and worse?
Worse and worse as in, it's like, it's become a bigger problem. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I haven't played the newest one.
You said NetherRealm Studios is the one that does all these?
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm not mistaken, NetherRealm Studio also does Injustice.
Yeah.
Injustice started doing that too, where like Superman could grab like an air conditioning unit off the roof and like throw it and stuff.
That's different though. That's not like a death. That's like a
no.
What they call them? They call them interactables or something.
Yeah, but the same thing happens where like if you hit them up against the wall or something, you could
transition, right?
Transition, but during that transition you take damage, and there's nothing you could do.
I don't mind that so much. I just haven't tried to like seriously play a game that has stuff like that in it.
I don't know what it is.
The only game I played that much was Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and that game had its own pile. That game had its own bullshit. So
wait, 3 or Ultimate?
It's the same shit.
What about Infinite?
I don't know. I have no opinion on that. Part 3 was Dark Phoenix, and Ultimate is Virgil and Zero.
Yeah, well. But in terms of Mortal Kombat, the last one, which was XL, I haven't even touched it.
XL?
Yeah, it was.
That what it's called?
No, it was called 10.
Uh-huh.
And then they released like a better one. It's called XL. So you got all the DLC and everything with it, and they sell it as like this companion, like all encompassing
Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, exactly. But they call it Mortal Kombat XL, so it's like, oh, it's extra large. They had like Freddy Krueger or something in it, or Jason.
Yeah, they were in the last one, weren't they?
I don't know. I can't remember. Like the game's gotten too. I don't know what it is about that fighting mechanic where the characters feel super heavy. I don't like it. They felt lighter and sleeker and faster.
You want it to be part 4?
No, I definitely don't want to make it to be part 4 because remember that thing had that sidestep bullshit.
Oh yeah,
it's like you had to be super accurate with it.
A lot of games that transitioned to 3D like that
had the sidestep.
They all felt like, oh, we gotta have sidestep because 3D fighters gotta have sidestep, and it wasn't until Capcom released Street Fighter 4 and went back to like 2.5D or whatever they call it. Because it's like 3D, but it's still a 2D plane. Yeah, and everybody was like, "Hey, all right, I guess this is okay."
It's like 3D, but you're just watching it from the side.
I mean, there's no sidestep, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I got you. I don't know. You said earlier that like people like to complain about Street Fighter, like the community likes to complain about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I when Street Fighter 4 came out, I remember loving that game. Everything about it, I loved it.
Yeah, but that's why people didn't like it, because people like you liked it.
People like me.
You get it?
People like me.
I mean, it was like people like me as well. Like the community, the fighting game community would call people that like started with Street Fighter 4 like, "Oh, you're an 09er. That's what you are. You're an 09er." And they hated on them. And I mean, whatever, like Capcom was appealing to like a more general audience, so it's like it's not really anybody's fault, you know? But I think as much as like Street Fighter 4 was like very scrub friendly, as they say, basically saved their entire company, dude, because like fighting games in general like just came back after that. Like Mad Catz like started doing sticks.
Yeah,
and it
that's
basically
right, yeah.
saved their company as well. Like it started like a phenomenon, man.
It was Mad Catz and Pelican. Remember, they also they came back because remember they were like Pelican third-party controllers. They were the garbage ones that you found everywhere.
Yeah.
They revitalized themselves as PDP.
And they still made garbage. No, I'm just kidding. They made gamepads. So I didn't play fighting games on a gamepad, so I don't know.
Well, what I'm saying is, well, they did fighting sticks as well, but they got back on top because they struck that deal, and they got the exclusive like rights to the gamepad ones. I bought the Ken one, remember?
Sure.
And that's how they got back on top.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mad Catz made some of those too. That's why.
What's really funny is that Mad Catz apparently is going to shut down.
Why is that funny? It sucks.
It sucks. Well, it's funny that like I really think that right now there's the most fighting games that's ever been on the market.
Yeah.
Because you got Mortal Kombat, you got even King of Fighters is coming back.
I think it's like the president or something. That guy makes bad decisions. The CEO was like supposed to. He said something like they opted out of making peripherals for Guitar Hero or something. Because they were just like, it's a fucking music game, no one's going to buy that. And then Guitar Hero became like a phenomenon. And everyone loved it. And then for the latest thing they did wrong was like Rock Band 4 was supposed to have a set of peripherals and they wanted to do those. Yeah. And then Rock Band 4 flopped hard. So...
flopped hard?
Who the fuck plays Rock Band 4?
I played it. I played it.
You bought it?
Yeah.
The newest one that came out?
Yeah. I think what they did wrong...
It's not in your house. Where is it?
It is. It's in my house.
Really?
Yes.
I never saw you play that.
Okay, so... Here was one big problem with Rock Band 4, and I'll say it here, because when I played it, I was super excited to play it, first of all, because I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll invite some friends over. We'll do like because Rock Band is essentially just karaoke for gamers, right?
Okay.
One thing I think they did really, really wrong is they didn't release new instruments that were exclusive to the Xbox One. No, they didn't. What you did is you bought a little, like, you could buy an adapter. I think it came with the game. There was an adapter that let you use your 360 ones.
They did have instruments, though.
They did, but you could just use your old ones. And everybody had their...
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like... You could have made wireless controllers. You could have, like, there were things you could have done to make that game way better. Microphones, drum sets, a keyboard, like, different guitars.
That sucks,
but they were really lazy. They're like, you know what? We're just going to put an adapter so you can use your old ones.
I don't know if it was lazy. I think it was just, like...
I mean, it was good.
Like, everyone has a bunch of fucking plastic fake instruments in their house. You should let them use them.
Yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't make financial sense to do that. I mean... If you really want to play Rock Band 4, you get the guitar with the game.
No, I know
right?
I know what you mean, because when Street Fighter 5 came out on PS4 and Xbox One, it's like, okay, now you got to pay $160 to get a brand new stick for this new console. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think on Rock Band's part that was very nice of them, you know, to do that. But like you said, it doesn't make financial sense.
It doesn't make. But here's the thing, like. If you...
I don't think that's why the game failed, though.
No,
maybe the
I don't think
fad was just over, or like...
It could be, I mean, but you could say that about... There's still people singing karaoke, and there's still people... You know, I don't think...
I honestly think people probably just still have it hooked up somewhere. Like, if you were... No? You don't think so?
I think there's some merit to that kind of game. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be as hot as it was before, because everybody was playing Rock Band at one point.
Right.
What I'm saying is that people are still buying and playing Just Dance. They're doing Just Dance every
Maybe that replaced it.
Maybe that's true, because I know that you can sing along to it now as well. I'm saying there could have been something done. Maybe it wouldn't have saved it, maybe it would, but there could have been some extra effort put into that. Because part 3 was like, hey, you know what? Keyboard.
They should have just released it on PC. I only say that because I bought Street Fighter V on PC, and I can use every stick. And I'm like, why doesn't everyone just buy a computer and do this?
Well, from what I understand, because I don't know if I was just busy, I don't know if I was just unplugged from the whole fighting scene at that point, but when Street Fighter V came out, I was not excited. And
I think
people, when I heard about the launch, I remember that night very well, because when I got home, I was reading it on Polygon and all these different sites. They're like, Street Fighter V came out. I was like, you know what? I might download it when I get home. And then when I got home, I walked the dog, and then I got a call from you, or I got a text from you that was like, hey, I'm going to come pick up some sticks. And then you and John showed up at the house, and you're like, and I was like, so you've been playing it? And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then you went home. But then I was like, he said pretty good.
Well, the launch of that game was just, it was pretty embarrassing for them. Like, the servers weren't up like when the game first came out, and like there was all these problems, and just that shit didn't work, and like it didn't launch with like arcade mode, right, or story mode or something like that.
Yeah, I heard that.
All of this stuff was like, oh, it will be available like this month or something. You just gotta wait. And like it felt like almost like a Kickstarter game or something, like.
Wasn't that when Mega 64 did that sketch called the game day as opposed to the launch date?
No, I don't remember that.
They did this skit where it was like, he's like, and now there's a new thing. It's called game day, and as opposed to launch day. Launch day is when the game comes out. Game day is when you can play it when it's fully complete and done, like 6 months later.
Oh, I see.
So I thought that was, so it must have. I think that was a stab at like games like Street Fighter, because I know that Street Fighter suffered from a bad launch, but also the last Batman game suffered a pretty shaky launch on its PC side.
And Battlefront.
Battlefront as well.
Everyone was complaining that Star Wars Battlefront was like.
It was just the demo.
Was it?
No, what I mean is like the demo. The demo was the entire game.
Yeah, it only had like 4 levels, right, or something, and like.
Yeah, and then Darth Vader was overpowered. So and I think it was Darth Vader was overpowered, and then if you got Princess Leia as your like hero or whatever, then you were just screwed. You're just like, all right, just lay down and you're dead.
I only played like 5 minutes of that game. My friend brought it over one time. And I think the mode you're talking about is this one where they randomly give you somebody to play every wave or something.
Yeah.
And it's like if you got Darth Vader, it's like, okay, you won.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
it was really, it was just a very strange gameplay mode. Like.
It was essentially when you respawn, there was a chance of you becoming the hero of your
squad,
of your side. So if you were light side or whatever, sometimes you get Luke Skywalker, Han Solo,
Maybe
all that
I just
stuff.
don't like those kind of games. But even like the just the shooting, like where you're just like a soldier shooting, on the ground. I was like, this is dumb. I'm not having fun.
It looked really good. I can say that.
It did, and the sound was really good too. It really sounded like the movie. And I heard if you had like really good surround sound, it took advantage of it. It was like the only game at the time that took advantage of like real stereo surround sound or something like that.
I don't know what it was about that game. I played the demo and I was like, this is cool, because I played it at work. Because the guy that was I took over somebody's job at the time, and they had Battlefront, and I played it like after hours and stuff
on their computer.
On their computer, and it was just like
it looked amazing.
I was running at I think I have a 670 in that computer, so it looks pretty good at the time. And then somebody was like, "Oh, I got these ultra textures, and you can throw those on, and they look even way better."
I'm pretty sure it sold incredibly well too. So.
It's Star Wars. Everything Star Wars sells really great.
I guess the next one though, they have like they have some big promises. I don't know if it didn't come out yet, right?
No, the next Battlefront didn't come out yet.
They're probably gonna release it with the movie, but
that would be my guess, because if they didn't release it with Rogue One, they're probably gonna release it with the new Star Wars, where like Luke is like, it's time for the Jedi to end or whatever. I'm guessing,
more Star Wars. It never ends.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got Star Wars fatigue,
I
really.
was afraid of this, man. When, like, I really was. Before, like, Part 7 came out, I was like, man, the movie is, like, 10 months away, and they're really shoving Star Wars down our throats.
Everything.
And then, sure enough,
Wars.
when the weekend the movie came out, I was like, fuck, man. I'm going to watch it, but all this marketing for it has really gotten me tired of Star Wars.
You can't you can't go anywhere without seeing some Star Wars.
Yeah, it was
like
pretty
malls
bad at one
are
point.
packed with it, and then like any soft drink, like if you go buy like some food, you'll probably see Star Wars at Subway, McDonald's, at your local convenience store. You hear the lightsaber sound
in the shower, everywhere.
You get nude and you hear the lightsaber sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what to say about the Star Wars thing. It's fine for people who love it, but I mean, I love Star Wars just as much as anybody, but I'm not as excited for it these days as I was before.
How do we get to this from Mortal Kombat?
I don't know. I think it's just running through all the stuff we used to do as kids.
Yeah, I was This is completely off topic. It's just gonna change the subject. I woke up this morning though, just thinking about Earthworm Jim. You know what that is?
I don't think that's very far off. We're just talking about games that we played back in the day.
I love that game. But
That game is really great.
Yeah.
And it kind of stands alone because it falls in line with the NES and Sega Genesis library really well.
Yeah, it's one of those furiously hard games. I meant more just because like he's such a cool character, like his design and stuff, and
that's what I'm saying. It's so strange.
I don't see that a lot nowadays. It's usually just Call of Duty guy or just somebody
random army dude.
You know, somebody who just looks human, you know, like dressed cool or something. This is like an earthworm in a muscular power suit. Like,
yeah,
how do you come up with that?
I mean, what I meant by the game is so strange is it starts off very much like any regular platformer with a gun, but then it goes into these weird modes. I don't know if you call them modes, but they're like the second you get into the next level, it's first of all it's like this. The first level is called garage, something like junkyard. That's the first level.
You're talking about part 1?
Yeah.
Part 1 is New Junk City.
New Junk City, right? And they're just making fun of the fact that, you know, they're taking titles and then, like, movie titles, and then just changing one word out of it to make it funny. So it's like New Jack City becomes New Junkyard City.
New Jack City? What's that?
It's a movie. I know the title. I don't know the actual movie, but it's called New Jack City.
Oh, I thought it was just like a New York City.
No. And then it's What the Heck. And then all of a sudden you get to that racing thing in the middle. Like it's a racing game halfway through.
Part 2 is really guilty of that because first level is just platforming, and the second level is you're shooting soil. You're shooting sand. You're like in a tunnel that has like all this dirt all over, and you have to move sand around to maneuver through the level
with your gun. But you're not even in your power suit.
You are.
No, remember you start up. You
are. After you leave that level, it's playing like that song that's like doon doon din doon doon din, and you're like you're not a worm. You're like this weird like amoeba.
No, you are. You're a worm.
But you have little arms and you have little legs.
Yeah, but you're a worm. It's weird. I know.
Well, anyway, at the end of that part, it goes into a pop quiz thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and then you get into your suit at the end.
There's no right answers.
Yeah.
No, you don't get into your suit. He unzips himself, and he comes out, and he's like...
Oh, whoa! You're right.
That game is just like a fucking fever dream.
You remember the first bad guy in that one?
He's the fish.
The fish, and you just eat him.
Yeah.
But they bring it out, and he's like, get ready.
Yeah.
Fight, and then he just eats him.
It actually says fight like in Mortal Kombat fought.
And then he pulls out his little jetpack thing and takes off. Not his jetpack, but that thing he rides that looks like a jet engine.
In part 2, actually, he does the whole like the seesaw thing. He brings out an anvil and he throws it on like a plane.
He's like, here we go. But then in the middle of all the levels in part 1, remember you do the race.
Yeah.
Which again is weird because that game keeps throwing new modes at you all the time.
Yeah, and then I'm sorry, I just played part 2, that's why. After that level, you have to do that puppy love stage.
Yeah, I don't
where
like
you have
that
to
stage.
you have to save these puppies from dying.
So you
And
play
then-
the old bounce the dogs into the safe part
Yeah.
thing, and I don't dig that.
And then immediately after that, it's like a it's like a shooter.
Yeah.
It's like a top-down shooter kind of thing where you have to guide this bomb to the end of the stage. Super annoying, but
That's the kind of the crazy thing about that game is it kept throwing, even in the first game, it kept throwing new modes at you all the time.
yeah.
Like I remember in the second one, the funny part in the first level is that, you know, the whole thing when people got too old to come downstairs, they have little chairs
Oh yeah.
that they go
there's
down. I'm sure he's perfectly capable of going up a set of stairs, but for some reason Jim uses one of those little chair elevator things and you can go back and forth on it while I think old ladies are falling from the sky.
That's why I said
and you have to
game's
maneuver.
That game's like a fever dream because you go into this. There's like a secret area in that game where you teleport through like this
the
thing.
toilets.
No, it's a little like a light bulb thing almost.
Oh, the
And
toilets was in the first one. You're right.
Yeah, and it
Toilets
sends
was
you
the
to
first
like a
one.
bonus stage, and that's where you do that thing you're talking about. You're going up the stairs with like one of those little
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
those little old lady things for the stairs.
Yeah, it's weird, but Earthworm Jim had this really weird, funny. It had really funny humor, but it wasn't disgusting or like rated R or anything.
I think-
It just
yeah.
had a strangeness to it.
It was more like clever
Yeah,
and like witty than it was like raunchy, is what you're saying, right?
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Because
besides snot.
well, like I was when I was at G4, I had the pleasure of like interviewing Doug TenNapel for a little
Oh yeah,
Geek Out
that's
piece.
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. If you haven't watched it, if you try to find it, it's called Geek Out with Doug TenNapel. I did 2 videos with him, and in one of them he talks about how he like came up with the concept for Earthworm Jim, and it's kind of like he's just one of those people that can just set his mind to start doing something, and then just comes out. It just kind of pours out of him,
That's cool.
right? And he was just like, yeah, I come up with an earthworm. His rival in the animal kingdom is the crow, so I just did worm versus Psychro.
Yeah.
Those were the first ones I came up with, and then I just started pouring out of me after that. But he was like, I had to lock myself in a room and just start coming up with characters and scenarios and blah blah.
That's
It's
awesome.
like this just kind of poured out of him. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And-
I really, I was telling you earlier too. I really love Earthworm Jim's design just because of the contrast of it. He's like, the worm is like probably like the weakest thing on Earth, you know, and then it's like, oh, how do you compensate for that? Oh, just a big powerful suit. Like that's cool. I like the contrast there because even the dog, even Pete,
Yeah.
he also has really strong contrast because he's like a little cute puppy, but then when he gets angry, he like transforms into like this monstrous like purple freak thing.
Yeah, and I love that no matter what happens, he's always kicking the crap out of Jim.
In the cartoon, right?
No, in everything.
Well, I mean, yeah, but in the cartoon, was it always like a gag? That,
Yeah.
Like, in the episode, he would beat him up.
It was a little misleading because if you remember in the first game, anytime that Pete would get hurt, he would turn into the thing, grab you, and pull you back through the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was kicking your butt. So the point of the game was to Jim was to try to get him through the game through the level.
Yeah.
You would have to shoot things out of his way and make sure you went on
and whip him onto other platforms.
And see, that's the
stuff.
part that I never. It took me a long time to figure out because anytime he got hurt, he would get mad. So I thought if I whipped him, he would get mad at me.
No.
And every time I shot my gun, he would duck and cover.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, so I can't hit him. I thought, but then I finally figured out the way to get him over the little pits is to whip him, and that took forever.
I think it was the first one. I'm not sure about the second one, but even his sprite, when he turns into that monster thing, parts of his sprite are like glitched out purposely, just to make him look more like erratic and crazy. Which I was like, that's so cool that they went through the trouble of doing that.
I mean, it shows off in the animation because when you see it, it's so I love that transformation.
That game really has amazing animations.
Well,
too.
it comes from Doug is a really great animator. It was cool because in one of those pieces, he actually does one. He was working on a new graphic novel at the time, or had just finished it. It was called Monster Zoo. And he is a fantastic inker as well as a drawer, which is, I know it sounds like an artist should do both, but it really, if you focus on a specialty, if you specialize in one, you can be a really good inker.
Ink is hard. Ink is stressful.
Yeah, dude, it's like super permanent. But he in the thing he kind of lays it all out and then does it with like this ink brush, and then he signs it. He's like to Blair Butler and blah blah blah. It's really great, and you could tell that he knows. Like in his panels, there's a lot of expression, so you could tell he knows how to convey movement, and that's why, for example, like those. There's I think there's one weapon in Earthworm Jim 2 where it's like this huge gun and he fires it. No, there's this one gun in Earthworm Jim and you only get it once, I think. And like he fires it and it like turns the screen completely white and he like just wipes out everything on the screen.
Oh, okay.
But it's like super huge.
That's
so
cool.
There's this little animation of him taking that huge thing out and like it's trembling in his hand and everything. Like just with those little throwaway animations, you could tell there's a lot of sprites or just somebody that knows what they're doing.
I think the idea of the game was that Earthworm Jim needs to be funny and he needs to be like super expressive. That's what's gonna sell this game. And I mean, it really did. I remember when we were little and we would rent that game. I had such a fucking hard time getting through like the first 2 levels. They're really hard games. And I remember in my head, I was always like, I want to get farther because I want to see all the other cool stuff in this game. Or like all his like cool animations and all that stuff, you know?
You know which level sucked in part 1? This is the one where you were in that glass submarine.
Yeah, underwater. Yeah, that level sucked.
But again, that's one of those other ones where like you got thrown into this whole new scenario. That level, that was the new mode that you had to take care of. Like there was a funny one where you jumped on a gerbil that ate everything.
That's the same level, I think.
Yeah. No. I'm saying that was a new element in that level as well. But that glass submarine sucks so hard.
I think that first game also has the one where you're like bungee jumping.
Wasn't that part 2?
I think it's part 1. Because in part 1 you only use snot for that.
Really?
But in part 2 you use them like... You have like a parachute and you have like a little grappling hook kind of...
Which I thought was weird, because why not just use his head like he did in the first one?
Huh? You still have that.
Oh, but there's certain sections that are just for snot because the surface is sticky.
There's actually a part in the second level where you have to like... The ceiling has that goop stuff on it.
Yeah.
And you can't get past this wall. And you have to use like the swing to go basically through the stage.
Yeah.
I was like, how are they expecting children to figure this out?
I don't know. The secret parts in the very first level of part 1, New Junk City. There was a toilet, remember, that transported you halfway through the level.
Okay.
It's like, how are you supposed to figure out that a toilet will transport you anywhere? And it's not like you get flushed down it or like something gross happens that has to do with toilet. You literally go whoom and you teleport. And you're like, here you are now.
That game has so many like objects and just like items and hazards and stuff.
It took me forever to figure out in the second level what the heck. Those jewels, you had to run on them to make them move.
Oh yeah.
And it took me forever to figure that out.
In part 2, there's just an electric chair. Like you can land in an electric chair, and that's like the only time it's in the entire game, I assume. But I was just like, how did they come up with this shit? It's ridiculous.
But no, that game is that's why it stands out on its own. Really, is because the funny humor, and it's just a new character. And I didn't talk to Doug about like the nitty gritty of Earthworm Jim. He was just kind of telling me how he came up with the characters, but you know that he's supposed to be funny because that character is just like the facial expressions are all eyes and mouth. That's all he gave him is 2 huge eyeballs and a mouth.
Yeah.
You know?
Surprised no one's trying to like... You know how everyone's doing like spiritual successors of like Kickstarter games that are like, oh, it's supposed to be like this, like, oh...
Like Ukulele?
Yeah, or like recently somebody... They did that game, what's it called? Neo or something?
Yeah, no, it's the Dark Souls kind of thing.
No, not that game. I'm sorry. It's called Fast Racing or something, and it's supposed to be F-Zero.
Really?
Yeah, it's on the Switch, I think.
Oh, jeez.
But that's what I mean. It's like people are just taking matters in their own hands. I'm surprised no one's done like, oh, this is like Earthworm Jim, but it's.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, how do you copy Earthworm Jim? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. It
like with Ukulele, from what I understand, at least it's the same team working on it.
Yeah.
I know that Doug talked to me at some point about the whole trouble with the licensing and everything, because Earthworm Jim 3D came out on 64.
That game went through like development hell apparently.
Right, and I believe, and I hope I'm not mistaken, but I believe that he told me that they didn't pay him for his licensing on that.
Oh, really?
So there was like he was like, oh man, like the way he didn't want to talk about it because I don't think he's legally allowed to talk about it because it's like the whole lawsuit thing at the time. But he was like, that's a whole big story, and I was like, dude, what the heck, man? I just like, we've been waiting for an Earthworm Jim game.
I heard it was passed off to several different companies before Rockstar like eventually finished it or whatever.
Rockstar finished it?
Yeah, Rockstar's on the fucking box.
I didn't play that game because remember when it came out, it was like it got 1 star and they're like, it's a barely functioning game.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah,
I mean it sucks too. I mean that's what I said last time too. Is like there were so many games that like when they tried to make the transition to 3D, they just couldn't. They couldn't really fit into the new.
Well, if you remember, the last time Earthworm Jim appeared in a game that wasn't his own was Clay Fighters.
Yeah,
he was in Clay Fighters, and again, like when I asked him about Clay Fighters, he's like, he didn't pay me for that either.
Oh, really? That sucks.
Yeah, I think there was a bunch of there's just a bunch of problems because of the fact that it's Shiny Entertainment, but it's his intellectual property at the same time. And then the cartoon came out that was owned by Universal. There's a whole big thing with that character. I don't know who I know that he retains the rights to it, but I think they just keep trying to revamp it or something.
We should watch the cartoon. I wonder if they sell that.
The cartoon is good.
It's Homer, right? Homer.
Yeah. Dan Castanella.
I don't remember his name.
It is good. Yeah. I remember watching it, and it's still funny because it retains that just weird humor.
We should buy it or something.
Oh, jeez.
Or I don't know how we would watch it, but
man.
We'll get it. We'll come back on the podcast. We'll report to you guys.
I just want to play Earthworm Jim 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Did you is it on Steam or anything? Now I want to play it.
It's free on the internet if you just steal it.
Well, either way, I have part 1 and 2 on the SNES, so I'll just grab it from there.
Yeah.
It just means I have to bust out the old Super Nintendo.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that just about does it for this episode. Final thoughts, Ernie.
I miss Earthworm Jim.
I miss Earthworm Jim too. I love him. But what are you gonna do?
Nothing. I'm not gonna kickstart that game.
People don't seem to like platformers nowadays.
And that's sad.
Maybe if they made it a first-person shooter, huh? With online.
Oh my God, no! Don't do that. With micro purchases and everything.
All right, guys. See you next time.
See ya.